What's going on, guys? This is Caucasian Mark, whitest dude on the internet. Today we're going to learn about if-else statements. Now, if-else statements are pretty badass because we use them every day. Even if we don't speak them, we think them because it's a kind of a logical checker of what we should do. So, if something is done this way, then do that, or if something is done this other way, react to it differently. And let's just go ahead and put it into practice here. But first, let's create some data types here. We'll have an integer. We'll name it first number. We'll set it to 7, and then we're going to create two Boolean types. Let's see. Boolean. Actually, we shouldn't name. One other thing you don't really want to do, and can't really do, or shouldn't do, is you can't have a variable name with is a keyword, because it's asking what a Boolean is, which is just an obscure question of itself. We could do Boolean. Actually, that's even. Oh, okay. I see why it's doing that. But we could do Boolean 01, but that's still not a very good naming convention there. So we could do Boolean. Let's see. First Boolean value. We could do that just for this tutorial. False. So we have first Boolean value is true, the second one is false. We may want better names in the future, but for right now I'm going to show you what we could do with these. So we're going to come down here and you want to type out the word if, because after all you're asking if, so it makes sense to type out the word if. And this is one of the key words that's reserved, so you can't even make a value like an integer called if, because it'll think you're using it for an if statement. So keep that in mind. Anything in blue here, that's reserved. You can't use those words. But there's plenty more to use, so let's get on with this. So let's do first Boolean value. And what we're asking in the parentheses there is whether or not that value is true or false. Does it come out to be true or false? So since we set first Boolean value to true, this should be okay, and then go ahead and run I like butts. And we see that it is the case down below. This right here gets printed out down below. Now, what if we wanted to do second Boolean value? Come in here, second Boolean value, and we see nothing gets printed out because this is checking to see if it is true. And since it contains the value of false, it is not the case that it is true, so it does not continue the command down below. But what if you wanted to do a second case, right? So let's do a second case of this. If you have one line up here, you're only running one command underneath, you don't need the curly brackets. But if you're going to continue on from there, or if stuff added on, you're going to want curly brackets. Come down here to the end. Oh, didn't capitalize that. So what we see right here is if this turns out to be true, it should print this out. But since it's false, it's not. But else, we're going to have it print out, pass me that taco, damn you. And so we see here that if it is not the case of it being true up here, which it is not, it's going to look for the other case of it, which is for it to be false, which is covered by the else. It's asking, well, if it's not true, then if it is something else, then we could come down here and say, pass me the taco, damn you. Now, what if we wanted to say, what if we wanted to negate, in a sense, the second Boolean value? We're going to put the exclamation in front, and I'll tell you what it does in a minute. It says, I like butts. How did that happen? Up here we assigned false into the second Boolean value, we have second Boolean value, which is false, but it's not false. Yet it's printing out I like butts. Well, if you put an exclamation point in front of something, it switches the value of it. So it is not the case that second Boolean value is false, therefore it's true. So it kind of flips around the Boolean value there, so you have the opposite of what you have. You may be thinking, well, why is that necessary? Why is that possible? Is that really useful? And yes, it is useful. When you're writing some different kinds of commands, you may want the exclamation point there because it's shorter, because it's more to the point. It saves you a lot of lines of code you may want to write. And it also is a nice quick checker of your logic. Say something is not coming out the way you want it to, you can check the opposite case to see what prints out or what runs afterwards. So it's a nice checker in that sense as well. So you can see here that if true, if not true, we can have two different kinds of statements coming out down below here. Now we could also put these exclamation points in front that will flip the values around. But what if we want to do like arithmetic operators or something along those lines and include them in the if-else statements? So one thing we could do here is we could have if first number No, I did say arithmetic operators. We'll use those in a minute. But I think it's more important to jump into, we see there's an equal sign up here. We see there's a double equal sign down here. What's the difference? Well, as we learned is that this equals means that we're putting the value 7 into first number. We're assigning it. This is asking with the double equals, is first number equal to 7? So the two equal signs denotes, is this value 7? So let's go ahead and run this down here. And we see it is 7 because it comes out to the fact that it is true. So if we wanted to do something in arithmetic up here, if first number plus 0 equal to 7, because 7 plus 0 should equal 7. Let's use that as an example. And we see as we build it and run it again, it comes out to it is 7 because the statement in the parentheses comes out to be true. That's easy enough right there, right? So what if we wanted to, say, make another if statement, but we wanted to have the if statement inside of the other if statement, right? So let's come up here, and actually let's just leave this. And so we have if first number is equal to 7, which it is, then what do we want to do if it is the case? So let's do something down here. So let's do if first number, let's just do something really easy here, times 0 equals 0. Come up here and run it. We see it is 0, you ass. Cool stuff. How does this work? Well, first, this is the outermost if. This is nested inside of it. Any kind of, if you use a for loop, which we'll learn about in the next tutorial, or do while or anything else, if you put one inside the other, the innermost ones become nested. So this is the outermost if statement, and it checks it first. It has the most, I guess, seniority out of everything coming below it, as it's a top-down checker when it compiles. So it's going to check this first. Is first number 7? Clearly it is. And then we're going to take the number 7 again, and is it true that when you multiply it by 0, it equals 0? Then it comes down here after assessing it, and if it is the case, then it comes out as, it is 0, you ass. And good stuff. That is a nested if loop right there. We could throw an else in there if we wanted to. And we could say we needed to have something that definitely we needed something multiplied by 0 to be 0, but we have, say, 1 for whatever reason that may be. Sometimes your else early on or whatnot, or when you're assembling your program together, you may want some kind of error checking going on. Now, there's more advanced error checking we could get into later, but for right now, if you're learning the basics here, we can see that there's an error. We can see why is there an error. We could go back to the else statement that is nested inside this larger if. We could see that it executes here, but we could see that first number times 0 equals 1, and we found that we made a typo. That's another reason you can use else's, is for any other kind of issue you may be coming, or that may be coming through the pipeline that you want to check. So it's kind of the if this, if this, if this, if this, else, if it's none of these other cases I'm worried about, then do this instead. So that is a very basic if-else intro here. If you have any questions, leave them below. Like, share, subscribe, all that other jazz, and I'll see you in the next video.